On Christmas night in 1945, an event occurred in West Virginia, America, that chills one to the bone even today. George Sodder, a well-known figure, was celebrating Christmas with his wife, Jenny Sodder, and their 10 beloved children. Every face was illuminated with joy. Who could have known that this night would turn into a nightmare? A puzzle that remains unsolved to this day. Around 1 a.m, a fire suddenly broke out in the house. George and Jenny managed to escape with 4 of their children, but 5 kids who were asleep upstairs disappeared without a trace, forever. No bones were found, and there were no other signs. Did they really burn in the fire, or were they kidnapped? Was the fire truly an accident, or was it set deliberately? Dear viewers, this is not just a story. It is a mystery that continues to astonish the world. Let's try to understand every aspect of this unsolved mystery. George Sodder was a hard-working Italian immigrant who was vehemently opposed to the Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, which compelled him to leave Italy for a life in America. Speaking openly against the Italian dictator could have led to dire consequences, but he never showed fear. In America, he ran a trucking business and, luckily, owned his own home. His wife, Jenny Sodder, was a dedicated housewife who managed her children with love and discipline. On December 24, 1945, the Sodder children were playing with their new toys. Night came, and the 5 children went upstairs to go to bed. Around 1 a.m, Jenny smelled smoke in the house. When she went to check, she discovered that the kitchen was on fire for some reason. George and Jenny rushed outside with their 4 children, but the 5 kids who were asleep upstairs remained inside. George made every possible attempt to save them. When George dashed towards the window of the 2nd floor, he noticed that the ladder was missing from its place. He then thought of using his coal truck to reach the window, but when he turned on the ignition, the truck wouldn't start, and the 2nd truck was also out of order. Those present tried to call the Fayetteville Fire Department, but unfortunately, there was no response. Later, when they finally managed to contact the fire chief, the fire brigade arrived hours later after the incident. Everyone believed that the fire resulted in the tragic deaths of 5 children. But as normal as this case appeared, it was equally complicated. The next morning, when the investigation began, the officials gave a statement and closed the case, claiming that the children had perished in the fire. However, this explanation baffled everyone, because human bones cannot be completely reduced to ashes, even at 800 degrees Celsius, especially the parts with calcium, such as teeth. Even in a furnace, these cannot turn to ash. So how is it possible that no bones or teeth were found after the fire? Later, forensic investigation confirmed that the duration of the fire was not long enough to completely burn bones to ash. This revelation raised serious questions, and the Sodder family immediately rejected the investigation report. The team initially stated that the fire was caused by a short circuit in the kitchen, but George Sodder refuted this, saying that he had recently rewired the entire house and there was no chance of any fault. When George Sodder tried to recall the moments of the incident, he remembered some odd occurrences hinting at foul play. At the time of the fire, when he picked up the phone to call the fire brigade, the phone line was cut. It was later proven in the investigation that someone had indeed cut the Sodder family's phone line from the outside, as the edges of the wire were smooth, which only happens when cut with pliers. Jenny Sodder also recalled that at 12:30 a.m, the house phone had rung. On the other end, there was a woman laughing loudly. Jenny had dismissed it as a wrong number and hung up. If the phone line was cut at 1 a.m. and there was a strange call just half an hour earlier, it meant the line was deliberately cut before the fire started. This night was full of strange events. First, the phone call, then the sound of something falling on the roof just minutes before the fire, which Jenny ignored and went back to sleep, only to smell smoke moments later. Additionally, the ladder George always kept in its place was found far away in a field. His trucks, which had been working perfectly the day before, failed to start during the fire. All these strange incidents made George Sodder suspect that his children hadn't died but were kidnapped. But how could someone abduct them amidst all the chaos? A few months before the incident, an insurance agent had visited George Sodder, urging him to take home insurance. When Sodder refused, the agent threatened him, saying, "You'll regret this when your house burns down." Did someone use the fire as a distraction to kidnap the children? Or was this a well-planned scheme by someone holding a grudge? Another theory is that George Sodder's outspoken criticism of Mussolini angered the Italian mafia, leading them to target him and take his children. After the fire, several people claim to have seen the Sodder children in different places. A woman reported seeing the children in a hotel with a strange couple, while other reports suggested they were taken far away in a car. A year after the incident, new evidence emerged. The investigation team, which initially attributed the fire to a short circuit, was proven wrong. The new findings revealed that the fire was intentionally set. A bus driver passing by reported seeing people throwing something resembling fireballs at the house. Months later, when the snow melted, a rubber-like object resembling a pineapple bomb was found near the house. Jenny recalled the sound she had heard on the roof moments before the fire and wondered if it was this bomb. George and Jenny devoted their lives to solving this mystery, leaving no stone unturned. They followed every lead and even erected a large billboard displaying pictures of the missing children and offering a reward. About 20 years later, in 1960, Jenny received a letter containing a photo of a man who bore a striking resemblance to their son Louis. The letter simply said, "Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie." Was this letter genuinely from one of the missing children? Or was it a cruel prank? George and Jenny hired a private detective to investigate the letter, but no trace of Louis Sodder was ever found. Years passed, but the mystery remained unsolved. George Sodder passed away in 1969. Jenny and the surviving children continued their search for answers about their missing siblings. After George's death, Jenny never left their family home. She fenced the house and built new rooms around it. For the rest of her life, she wore black in mourning. When Jenny passed away in 1989, the family finally took down the old weathered billboard for the missing children. Were the children victims of a tragedy or part of a larger conspiracy? This is a mystery that may never be solved.